You're listening to Real Crime, the Movie Sleuth podcast.
All right, now listen.
No talking over it?
Yeah, I'm getting with the lawyers this week.
Okay.
And we're writing a new clause in these contracts for this next season. I've had it with this crap.
Yeah.
Why? Every week. Now you guys are just doing it to piss me off. And I'm getting angry. I'm getting tired of it, Chris. Seriously. Enough.
You asshole.
You asshole.
Ditto.
This is the lovely and voluptuous and wonderful Real Crime podcast. And we are here tonight. And it was just the boys last week too, wasn't it?
Another sausage fest.
Yeah, I think it was. Last week it was all the dudes.
No, Heather was here last week.
Oh,
yeah,
because
we did the Star Wars one last week.
So this week it's just the boys.
Yes.
Just the boys.
Trev's joined us again tonight. Thank you for joining us again,
I
Trev.
have.
Hello, good to see you again.
And you'll still learn nothing about me.
The beautiful Andrew is making a return. You haven't been here in a little while. It's good to see you again, Andrew.
Hi, Andy.
Hi, Andy. How are you?
Hello.
The beautiful Andy.
The beautiful Andy. Andy's in the studio.
One of the beautiful ones.
We have a fun night tonight because this is one of the most fitting topics we're going to have ever on this show. But we have a lot of stuff to do before that. There's so much goodness before we get to the real, the creamy center of the show.
The creamy center.
The creamy center.
It's going to be orgasmic, people.
It's going to be orgasmic. Yes.
The Tootsie Center of a Tootsie Pop.
Chris is getting better with the news. I see less and less scars on your body.
Yeah, I haven't been beat up in a couple months.
And as you guys out there in
Well,
TV
except
land,
for like the people that hate your review of Solo, that you're now a corporate shill. Is that
Yes.
the consensus?
I heard something about that.
It is. Yes, I'm totally a
fake
corporate
news.
shill at this point. Fake news, people. Fake news.
How does it feel to be a sellout, bitch? All of our friends.
If you got paid, I'm sure it would feel a lot better.
If I got paid, it would feel a lot better.
Yeah. What do we have this week in the news, Chris?
Well, first, we got to mention the Flint Institute of Arts. They're starting up their summer movie series right now, so make sure you get out there for that. Also, projectorscreen.com. Check them out as well. In the news this week, Liam Neeson is joining Chris Hemsworth in the Men in Black spinoff.
Who asked for that?
Nobody. I think the same people that asked for the Solo movie.
Well, I actually kind of asked for the Solo movie for about 20 years.
Yeah.
Mid-'80s through 90s.
Yeah.
There's another.
I already have
Warner
a
Brothers
headache.
is doing another movie nobody asked for or knew they wanted. Mowgli.
Yes.
Since they already
Yeah.
did a Jungle Book movie, now Warner Brothers has to get into it.
Because now we need everybody to have their own iteration of the Jungle Book.
I mean, if they're fixing to lose more money than the Casper Van Dien Tarzan movie, have at it. But
Yeah, it's just weird to me. It's just weird.
Can they lose more money than that?
Yeah. But
was
a
also a
Mowgli
Warner
movie,
Brothers
why
production.
another Jungle Book movie? In other news, Richard Gere is actually joining a television series on the BBC called Mother, Father, Son. He's never done a television show before. So,
He's never acted before either, so, I mean...
but he does great with the gerbils.
you didn't like him in Days of Heaven?
I didn't like him in anything. He always has that "why am I here" look on his face.
He does.
He looks shocked that somebody cast him in everything. I mean, even him carrying Deborah Winger in An Officer and a Gentleman, he still looks kind of dazed and kind of like not sure what's going on, why he's there.
Yeah.
He was
Kind of
just
strange.
He was just kind of there in Rhapsody in August also.
Yeah, I think that's basically his career. He's just kind of there with an Irish accent.
He had a pretty substantial role in The Band Played On. Remember in The Band Played On?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was a cool movie, too.
That was an interesting movie.
He's got a lot of screen time in that.
He did. I mean, he had a lot in what was the one where he was the Irish assassin, where he literally sounded like the Lucky Charms guy.
Red something.
Oh, yeah. What?
Red Corner.
Yes, Red Corner.
No, it wasn't. It was much more along the style of The Jackal.
This is where I get my phone out and pull up IMDb.com.
In other news,
Yeah, let's move it along. We'll come back to that in
Solo
a minute.
is at 71% on Rotten Tomatoes. It is the lowest score ever for a Star Wars movie.
That's not true.
But it isn't?
It is the third lowest score.
Really?
Phantom Menace is at 63. Episode 2, so what? Attack of the Clones is at 71.
Wow. Okay. So I'm wrong then.
So it's tied.
I
It's
think
tied.
we're reaching the point that pilot in Return of the Jedi just exclaims, "There's too many of them."
Yes. Yes. Agreed. Titan Comics is releasing a series based on The Raid, which I'm kind of interested in.
I'm not sure what the rate is.
The Raid,
What?
the film series, The Raid 1 and
Oh,
2,
boy.
they're basing a comic book series on that now.
You got
which-
your work cut out for you.
Yep. Yeah, you got your work cut out for you.
We'll
So,
see if I do.
Yeah. In releases this week, Solo is out finally this week, and another movie called How to Talk to Girls at Parties, something Scott knows nothing about.
Nope.
Have
But
you
that's-
seen him? He just impersonates Sasquatch, and they fall for him.
That sounds like something.
Oh my God!
That sounds like something the main art would
It's so
play.
hot.
Take me now.
Take me now,
Summer indie
Sasquatch.
twee.
Would you like a drink?
Oh. All right.
All right.
Let's move on to suggested viewings. Myself, I'm going to suggest the newly released horror vengeance film Revenge. Really, really cool flick. It's a lot like I Spit on Your Grave, but it takes place in the desert. The chick is great in this movie. She straps on a bunch of women, or oh my God, I can't even talk. She straps on a bunch of weapons and goes after these three dudes and just mangles the shit out of them.
With a strap on?
No, but we wish she did. But
Well, she
yeah.
strapped something on.
Yes. So really good movie. So check that one out if you can. You got anything for us?
We'll go 80s again. I did what? Last Dragon last time? Let's go Breakin'.
Oh, class. All class.
You cannot beat Breakin'. It's pointless story, but amazingly entertaining.
Agreed. Ozone and Turbo are my heroes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Just get rid of Special K.
And the girl was super sexy too.
That was Special K.
Yes.
She was pretty obnoxious.
Yes, she is.
But she was awesome for the 80s.
Yes, she was.
Yeah.
Andrew.
I'm just going to recommend the TV show One Strange Rock, because not enough people are talking about that show, other than if you look it up, you'll see what critics say about it. But I've asked a bunch of my film peers, have you watched Aronofsky's Planet Earth program, One Strange
Is
Rock
that
yet?
the one with Will Smith?
It is.
Okay.
It's
That actually looks really good.
And Will Smith is really good in it too. He's great as a narrator.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, we watched an episode over here last week. It was really, really good.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
I have to check it out.
You'd love it.
It's
You would absolutely love it.
The look on Scott's face made that
unmistakably-
statement worth it.
Sasquatch. All right.
It's unmistakably Aronofsky. You can totally tell it's his stamp.
In the mic.
Yeah.
Keep talking. In the mic.
That was it.
Okay. Well, I'll respond. This is my whole new character here. Now I'm a Sasquatch,
I
right?
never heard of that title.
My poll this week is going to be.
Took me a second.
It's going. Not a lot of people are going to really probably want to go see this, and that's fine. I'm like 75% of the way through it, and it's easy to judge because I'm going to be biased anyways. There's a band from Texas called Rigor Mortis. They're an old thrash band from back in the day. Actually, one of the guys from the band was Mike Scacia, who went on to play in Ministry for a number of years. He passed away, unfortunately, a few years ago on stage. As a matter of fact, he had a heart
no
attack on
kidding.
stage.
That's crazy.
But yeah, this band featured Mike Scacia, who played in Ministry for a number of years. Rigor Mortis was an amazing band. They were the first. I think they were the first like thrash band, like a really heavy band for that era to be signed to a major label, and they were signed to Capitol Records. At the time, it was mind blowing for all of us to see that. But they've done a documentary called "Welcome to Your Funeral," which is named after one of their songs, and it's an absolutely amazing. If you're a fan like I am. And there may be a few of you guys out that listen to this show that listen to old thrash like I do. Highly, highly recommend Welcome to Your Funeral, Rigor Mortis, the documentary. Really goes into the history. It's what I say a lot of times about rock docs when I review them. rock docs are not hard to really get right. Just most people.
But when they go wrong, they go.
When they go wrong, they go really bad.
Spectacular.
But all I
What's
really
the
ask
worst
out of
one?
ask out of a good rock doc really is, because I'm a nerd, and if I really want to. I want to learn something from it. So I want to know about the history. I want to hear about all them cool little tidbits. Like, how do we get that sound there? Well, yeah, somebody dropped a pan on the floor accidentally, and that's how we got that cool sound. All them little tidbits. That's what I want out of a rock doc, and that's what Rigor Mortis, Welcome to Your Funeral gives you. It's and I wouldn't say typical. It's about this band that we love.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so cool.
What would you say are some of the examples of rock docs done badly?
Twisted Sister. The one that Twisted Sister.
Oh, that one that I loaned you.
Yeah, the one you loaned me. That I did like it.
I liked that one. I liked the
the thing was,
learning about them.
They set you up at the end of that. Obviously, they set it up for another installment, right? So like, maybe I shouldn't be so hard on it, because they really did go through the early history of the band, which was super fucking interesting, right?
That was fascinating.
Super fucking interesting to hear.
But I felt like the pacing was just like they were stretching it.
Oh, they stretched the hell out of it. Oh my God.
To make sure that they could make another one.
They milked it to death.
Yeah.
They milked it to death. And I really was kind of bummed, like, at the end, because they at the end, they just kind of like do like a bullet point, like, well, after all this happened, these guys became MTV darlings, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, that's the era that we all got into them. I didn't know when they were just a bar band.
That was the first record. What is it? Staying Loud or
Stay Hungry.
Stay Hungry.
Yeah,
was the first album I ever bought on vinyl.
Yeah, right. They really did open up the doors. They were a huge band, and I didn't. Yeah, I mean, I heard You Can't Stop Rock and Roll was the album before that, and that's what got me into them. I didn't know them before that, when they were like a rock band, a bar band, like a working bar band in the Jersey area. So a lot of fun to watch, but it did fly off the rails at the end. It was kind of like, what?
What did you think about It Might Get Loud?
What's that?
What did you think
Loved
about
it.
Oh, that's a great movie. It's a great movie.
Jack White. I mean, it's a real turnaround. It's a real turnaround, because at the beginning, Jack White is a complete jerk off. I mean, it's like, I can't really say what I want to say about the guy. How he was talking about these, at least Jimmy Page, The Edge. That's a whole different thing. I'm not a big U2 fan. Great guitar player.
He's a great guitar player.
Yeah. But the way he's like talking about Jimmy, I'm like, and say what you want about Led Zeppelin too. I'm not a huge Led Zeppelin fan, but it's Jimmy Page.
Yeah.
It's kind of how you can't fuck with this guy. Right?
Yeah, no.
Great documentary though, and at the end you kind of see how it all works out, and I'm sure that's how it was all.
And I loved seeing them him like totally do that total turnaround. Where all of a sudden he's watching Jimmy Page play like,
holy crap.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I am in the face of greatness here.
Yeah.
Maybe my head's a little too big.
Yeah, you can see that he changed his mind.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, I mean, that's all really a good rock doc. Really, I want. That's kind of a different spin though, which I did like. It Might Get Loud. It's really cool, different kind of spin, more of a kind of a story too. But I mean, as far as a raw rock doc, like we're gonna do a documentary about this band that everybody loves. I want history. I want the little Easter eggs about things you might wonder. Bring those things to the surface, and then you got yourself a great rock doc. And that's what Rigor Mortis, Welcome to Your Funeral is. Moving along.
Moving along.
Moving right along.
It is episode 84.
Yeah.
And I'm actually kind of shocked that we haven't done this yet.
Yeah.
But tonight, Real Crime.
Real crime on real crime.
We're doing Real Crime on Real Crime. We're going to be talking about real crime stories that have been translated to film. And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of bullet points here. So I'm going to start this off by throwing out there what I think is the greatest real crime movie ever made.
Blow our wad early in the show.
I'm going to blow our wad early because, number one, David Fincher is one of the best directors ever.
Yeah.
Zodiac is hands down the best crime movie I've ever seen.
Wow.
It's not necessarily just about the crime. It follows the steps of them trying to solve the crime and basically translates to film how obsessed Robert Graysmith and all these people that were involved with it, how obsessed they were with trying to solve it.
Yeah.
And it's a great letdown because they never
did. Yeah.
We've never solved that crime.
It's
and
still
you remember back when we were in Too Many Gods together, there was a whole Zodiac era
Yeah.
where like we were all reading the books and studying that case.
We
And
actually had that in our logo.
Oh, did you
We had
really?
that- we-
and
we did.
I read the
We were-
Graysmith books.
Yeah.
We do a lot of internet studying, read stuff at the library about it. Like we really studied that case hard.
Yeah.
There's so much to the Zodiac that I personally find it really interesting.
Yeah.
But the way that Fincher brought that to film was so much just darkness and, subversive evil that's going on in the background.
Mm-hmm.
It's a phenomenal film, but it's not just all about the crime. It's all about the people that are trying to solve this.
Yeah.
And you're seeing what's happening in how the case evolved.
Yeah.
And still, they end up flat-footed. Nothing ever
And that
came
movie
of it.
was completely overwhelming. It was amazing. Amazing.
When I first saw it, I couldn't stand it. I'll be
Really?
honest. The first time I saw it, my impression was after watching it the first time was just Jake Gyllenhaal rolling around his apartment like with that same look on his face, like
That's because that is Jake Gyllenhaal
yeah,
acting.
it's just that same like confused, scared look on his face, right? And and initially that was the first time I watched it. I was like, I can't stand this movie, right?
Yeah.
I did go back to it just about a year and a half ago. I queued it up and watched it, and I really enjoyed it. I think when I first saw it, I mean, I was a lot younger, and like
Not a
I-
lot younger.
well,
it's not
yeah.
that old.
how old is that movie?
Like 9 years.
Yeah, 9 or 10 years. When did it come out, Andrew?
About 9 or 10 years ago. I'm not positive. One thing. One thing.
It
I
was
was-
11 years. It was 2007.
I was a
One
bit
thing-
younger then, and I think what you're talking about, it isn't about trying to, because it was never solved. I
It
think
was about telling the story.
it was about telling the story. I mean, I have grown a lot, I think, in the last 10 years.
The author who, the character that Jake Gyllenhaal plays, I believe he's the author of the book.
Robert
that was-
Graysmith.
Yeah, that was used to make Autofocus, the film about Bob Crane's murder.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
That was
Yeah.
such a good movie too.
But yeah, that's who wrote it, was the character Jake Gyllenhaal played.
Wow, I did not know that. That's kind of crazy. And Autofocus is another one.
It's another true
Such
crime
another-
story.
Yeah.
such a good story.
Andrew,
flick,
why don't
though.
you
Great
spit
flick.
one out at us?
Good call, Chris.
I was going to say one that we were talking about, and before we started rolling, we were talking about crime stories that are embellished for dramatic effect, because the real story, people die, but they want to sensationalize it a bit for movies. And one such case was this mid-90s Chinese movie called The Untold Story, about this guy who murdered these restaurant owners. And the way the movie plays out is that to dispose of their bodies, he grinds up their bodies into hamburger meat and serves them to the customers. And that was an urban legend for a long time that was later debunked, but for the sake of the movie, they tied that into the real crime story, and it's a pretty brutal and vicious, frequently exploitative.
So
Category
so
3
he didn't
movie.
really do that then.
Well, he really murdered everybody, but
Yeah.
he kept working in the restaurant, so that led to this urban legend that he disposed of the bodies by
Yeah, okay.
feeding them to the customers, unbeknownst to them.
For you Michiganders, we just discovered about, I think, a week and a half ago that a woman in the Upper Peninsula did exactly that. Murdered her husband, chopped him up into little pieces, ground him up, and served him to the church luncheon.
Oh my god.
Really?
Really?
That's pretty disgusting.
We're really starting this off heavy, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
I don't know how we're going to follow that one up.
Yeah.
Show's over, people.
Yeah,
All right, have a great night.
Hey, guys, thanks for listening. Good night. Anyways, Andrew, keep going.
Okay, so that was it for that movie. I'm gonna throw another one out there, which we mentioned earlier, Bully, the
Yeah.
Larry Clark movie about these juvenile delinquents that conspire to kill their friend because they're sick of being bullied by him.
That was a true story?
It was,
Yeah.
and the DVD has pictures of the real kids, their mugshots from the trial in the
Wow.
extras.
Now, that had, what's his name in it that passed away?
Brad Renfro,
Yeah.
yeah.
That kid was a heavy actor.
He was so
Yeah.
good.
He was so
So
good.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
so
good.
young.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he carried like a 60-year-old actor's gravitas on stage or on screen.
Especially like an apt pupil.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he was so disturbing in that.
Nick Stahl was really good in it too. That was the first movie I saw him in. They started putting him in everything after that.
Yeah,
For a
that's
little
right.
while, anyways, yeah.
Terminator 3, Sin City.
He was great. Sin City is still the one I think he was the best of what I've seen.
Yeah, he was kind of loony in that one.
Well,
He's
yeah.
under a lot of makeup, but
Yeah.
he's still able to command the performance. But we're getting off topic.
Yeah.
I'll throw one out there.
Okay.
And it'll follow the thread here we were talking about a second ago about kind of this movie is arguably embellished to a certain degree, and that's The Untouchables, which is based on, it's based on,
Pretty heavily embellished.
Prohibition. Yeah, pretty heavily. The argument with that one, there's actually, I've spent a couple of years studying the mafia and organized crime, and one of the things that was talked about, especially in the Untouchables, one of the opening scenes is the bar where the gentleman brings in the suitcase, and there's an argument where the guy's like, I don't want to buy your beer. Your beer isn't good.
And then he leaves the
He's like, well, it isn't
briefcase.
made to be good. It's made to be bought. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And the little girl and the whole thing, and they blow the bar up, the suitcase. I guess one of the stories, like one of Capone's old attorneys discussed this back in the 80s, and when the film came out, they saw the film, and the guy literally jumped up. This is the story they said. The guy jumped up in the theater and said that Capone would never do a goddamn thing like that. He'd killed the guy who was responsible for blowing up the bar like that and killing that little girl.
Yeah, because it's revenue lost.
Yeah,
no matter
right.
what.
Well, revenue lost, and the guy,
And you don't kill kids.
yeah, that thing too. There's always that code. So, and the story of Elliot Ness also. There's been a lot of debate over his involvement in bringing down Capone. Basically, a lot of people say there's documentation that he was more just a reporter. He just kind of jumped in front of everything and said, look, I did all this. One of those things.
Yeah.
Well, his track record in Cincinnati afterwards kind of proved
There
that
you go.
point.
So, a good movie. Enjoyed it. It was fun to watch. Cool to see Robert De Niro play Al Capone. That was really neat to see. They got a couple of things right, like the dinner scene with the baseball bat. I thought that was kind of heavy. Cool.
That was great.
Yeah.
That was
great, Brian De Palma.
I was about to say, Brian De Palma did this just a few years after Scarface, which is partially a remake and partially based on the Miami crime scene of the early 80s, which they ended up doing a documentary about, the Cocaine Cowboys.
Oh, that
was
doc
a
is
good
awesome.
documentary.
I didn't put Scarface on my list.
I'd say that's more of a gangster movie.
Okay.
though.
It's a gangster. It's a remake of
It is.
of a
And of the
Al
Paul
Capone
Muni
movie.
film.
Yeah,
The original was with Paul Muni and Boris Karloff.
great movie.
But the problem with this I found, though, was just that. Now, I didn't put Scarface on my list, but I thought that, some of these ones that I might bring up here, I hope I don't get beat up, because there is that kind of intersection with the gangster film and the true crime film, because a lot of the
Well,
stuff
I'm about to pull one out that is the quintessential one, and it actually tops Zodiac as far as I'm concerned, as far as perfect crime movies. Goodfellas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Goodfellas
Bloody
is
Bullet.
the perfect crime movie.
Keep talking. Get a cigarette. Get a cigarette ready.
Greatest mafia film of all time.
Period.
Hands
Period.
down.
You really can't touch
Better
it,
than
man.
The Godfather.
Fuck you.
It's not better than The Godfather
me.
2.
Fuck you.
I prefer Godfather 2 over Goodfellas.
Godfather 2 is always the highlight of that
But
trilogy.
I mean, really, those three movies are kind of interchangeable. And,
Well, they all
and
have the same
excellence.
dark, like the Goodfellas and
Skip part 3 of The Godfather.
Yeah.
That one, that doesn't count. I'm only talking about the
actually
Godfather 1
like
and 2
that
and
one.
Goodfellas.
Well, if you look at Godfather 1 and 2 and you look at Goodfellas, they have that same darkness about them.
Yeah.
That's what I've always said about The Godfather, which makes that movie so... The Office, Vito Corleone's Office, it's dark.
It's
so
dark.
mysterious
He's in
looking.
shadow.
Yeah, it's so fucking cool.
They're
and
both
Goodfellas,
led by Robert De Niro as well.
Yeah. Goodfellas has that same kind of darkness, like all the bars, the bars they hang on. They're all kind of dark and kind of dingy looking and stuff like that. But
Only where the Goodfellas actually hang out.
Yeah.
If you pay attention.
yeah,
The work areas where normal people are
yeah,
It's all
are
bright.
brightly lit,
Yeah, yeah.
well lit. I mean, the one tracking shot through the restaurant.
Yeah.
Or Steadicam shot.
I'm gonna get the papers.
That shot by itself, I mean, it shows you the two different worlds, and it shows you the transition into it, and it's it so much brilliant.
Goodfellas can just be watched over and over and over and over again. I mean, it never gets
keep
boring.
finding new things to love about it.
Yeah, well, yeah.
What I almost forget that Goodfellas is a true story. You know, because it's
out there.
There's so much going on. It's like, this is reality. You know? It's hard to actually fathom that all that stuff, most of it really took place.
It was chaos.
The DVD, and I'm assuming the Blu-ray ported it over, has a commentary with the real Henry Hill.
Henry Hill.
Yeah, it's great. I loved listening to that.
He had a website for a number of years, like Henry Hill's website. You could go there, and like he had all these like wild stories on there, and he had pictures, like there was old pictures like they were taken of like some people he worked with. Like literally, there was this one with this guy with sunglasses on, just like he's like, I didn't want to talk about what this guy's done. Like, I didn't want to get into this.
We're not going near there.
That's crazy, dude.
Forget about it.
So
forget about
Goodfellas, I mean, that's you can't touch that movie.
Exactly.
It's so freaking good.
So
man.
On another true crime story, it's a little bit more peculiar, but just as fascinating and compelling as Dog Day Afternoon.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Andrew's
Al
killing
Pacino.
it with these.
Al Pacino at his finest.
Attica.
Yeah.
Because gradually it becomes less about the heist and the holdup than the sensation it causes, and how everyone who's
the social effect.
Everyone who's a hostage is having the time of their lives being on TV. Like when he brings the first hostage out, she comes back for a curtain call.
Yeah.
And the pizza delivery guy, I'm a fucking star.
So it's kind of a precursor to like reality TV. It kind of gave us a taste of that.
It was totally telling us that Andy Warhol was right.
Yeah.
And it all happened. I mean, they have video online of the real news broadcast of when this bank robbery
and it was
happened.
just as sensational. That's what's hysterical. Is like I've watched the footage of the real news broadcast, and it fits so perfectly with the movie that they're not interchangeable, but they're pretty close. You know.
Well, and when you get into a hostage situation like that, I've always found these type of films to be really incredible and really interesting, because this isn't the only film. To really be inside something like that, I mean, seeing a film is about as good as you're going to get. To see what people are going through, obviously you're scared to death. But you see in a lot of these situations, if they, hopefully, and I think this is, it's based on truth. It's based on reality. These people are in a situation that none of these hostage situations ever seem. No one's ever fucking escaped. Like, we want a plane, we want this shit, and we want to leave, right? No,
doesn't that beg the question? Why do people still take hostages?
Yeah, you're not going to win.
Like, makes no sense.
Well, it's an act of desperation.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
Yeah,
it's an act of desperation.
Maybe.
Yeah,
but my point is like we've all seen 500 movies, 1,000 TV shows where people are held hostage, and every single one of them, they either all end up dead or in cuffs or a mix. Why would any Joe Schmo would be like, we should take hostages?
Why else would you do that? You don't want to give up. It's an act of pure desperation, it seems like. You fucked up whatever you were doing. Boredom. Just to be in that situation is really interesting to me, and to also, I'm really thirsty, man. Can you give me okay, go get a cup of water.
Go get him some water.
Shit like that. It's like those little details kind of get to me, man.
Oh, yeah.
Great flick, though. Good call, Andrew. Dog Day Afternoon. That was on my list also. Chris, what about you?
Well, I would say for my next one would be a really, really heavy one. And I think you would all agree with me. This is a very hard film to watch because the ending is so tough to get through. But one of my favorite current true crime movies, it's about 12 years old now. I'm just going to keep holding you guys in mystery.
Yeah, keep going.
It's got Anton Yelchin in it, so it makes it even harder to watch it. But
Alpha Dog.
Alpha Dog.
Anything with Anton kills me still.
You didn't like this one, Andrew?
No, I liked this one. I was pointing out the title. I beat you to it.
Oh, okay. You son of a whore.
He stole your thunder.
Yeah, but yeah, Alpha Dog. I love this movie. Justin Timberlake is actually really, really good in this movie. The man can act, you know.
He can.
But that whole story, it's so dumb. I mean, everything they tried to do was absolutely brainless. Like, it was a crime pulled off by literal idiots. In like that whole ending with like, oh, we have to kill him now. Like, they didn't have to kill him. They could let the poor kid go, you know? And the way they kill him, just like out in the middle of nowhere, just like, oh yeah, we got to kill you now. It's hard to watch. It's hard to watch because it's actually like humanity just being destroyed for no reason whatsoever. But
you can tell Timberlake's character doesn't want to kill him.
Yeah. He's like really standoffish about the whole thing. But that is a great, great film.
I was going to say,
I don't know if I've ever seen it.
I saw that one in parts also. All the horrible parts too.
I mean, it's got a lot of people in it too, like Amanda Seyfried, Bruce Willis, Anton Yelchin, Harry Dean Stanton. That's right. He plays the grandpa, right?
And I've never seen this. That's amazing.
And obviously, what's his name?
Anton.
God, what's wrong with me tonight? Emil Hirsch. Hirsch. You know, an actor that's basically fucked his career at this point.
What did he do?
He got physically aggressive with women and basically got ousted, you know?
Yeah, well,
so he deserves it.
Bye.
Yep. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. But yeah, I love Alpha Dog. I think it's a really, really good film. So
when you mentioned Dumb Criminals, I kept thinking of America's Dumbest Criminals, the movie, directed by Michael Bay, Pain and Gain.
Oh God.
I love that movie.
That
movie
hilarious.
Was so terribly good.
It's so hilarious, man.
And the end, you find out they actually returned the bloody, hairy chainsaw to the Home Depot, and they actually accepted the return. Like, they show the receipts at the end of the movie during the end credits. Like,
But
wow, this all really did happen.
That's that's something that really did happen.
Yes, that's a true crime story.
I mean, I know that, but the reason I ask is I did do some reading on after I saw that film, and there was a lot of talk like, okay, there's a lot of shit that was, again, embellished. There was a lot of stuff.
Well, it's Michael Bay. What do you expect?
But the chainsaw, that's a real thing. They actually brought a chainsaw back like
Yes.
that.
In the end credits, it's the receipt is
that.
shown in the end credits.
The real ones.
Yeah.
God, dude.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Those guys were lame brains, dude. They were like...
It was so hilarious, though.
That was the biggest PED don't do drugs commercial ever.
Yeah,
Ever.
don't do roids, dude, because it's going to mess
started,
your brain up.
That was a movie that actually, Dwayne Johnson can act. The Rock can act. This guy
he
knows
can
what
act.
the hell he's doing.
He can act. He can act.
And there's just so many hilarious, no, guys, sorry, I'm in the middle of a superset. Leave me alone. And, just all these little things he did, just doing coke behind things.
Obviously, they embellished that story a lot, too, but the family of the guy they kidnapped and the wife, that family was pissed about that movie.
That was one of the things I read. They're like, this was not funny.
Right.
This was scary as hell.
This was somebody being killed, and burned in acid,
I wonder how much money they got out of that. I wonder how much money that family was paid.
Hopefully enough.
Hopefully enough. They deserved it.
Yeah, they did deserve that. Movie was hilarious.
Okay, I'm going to go next.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna go into the borderline. Is it true crime? I'm gonna go with From Hell.
I never saw From Hell.
It is possibly one of the prettiest crime movies ever filmed. Mm-hmm. It's gorgeous. Most of the acting is spectacular. Heather Graham withstanding. She was terrible. Terrible. Her Irish accent made me want to run through traffic. I mean, I honestly can't. Besides the fact that it wasn't accurate in a lot of ways, it was still a great movie and a fun adaptation of a good comic.
it captured the essence of Jack the Ripper, basically.
It did.
You
It
know,
really
but yes,
did.
it was an adaptation. So I wouldn't know if that's really a true crime story, but it's,
Well, it's an
right.
adaptation of an adaptation of an adaptation of a
Yeah.
true crime.
The
So
least like the Hugh brothers' other movies in their filmography. I mean,
Yeah.
coming off of Menace to Society and Dead Presidents,
yeah,
they're going to do an old England period
Johnny
crime drama
Depp.
with Johnny Depp.
Johnny
Yeah.
Depp opium movie. Like, wow.
But he was good in that one. Like,
Oh,
he
he
wasn't
was.
doing the pirates thing.
Well, it was
or the-
before. It was before all that.
Yeah.
it was really before he started really getting typecast as the kid-friendly, zany guy. It's when he was still doing Dead Man and that kind of stuff, where he was really going for the indie stuff that was amazing.
Well, here, I'll throw another Johnny Depp movie out there just for the hell of it right now. Blow.
Oh,
Speaking of
Yeah,
oh!
that is a true
I
crime
thought you
movie.
were going to go Donnie
Definitely.
Brasco on us.
We'll go to that too, but Blow, Blow is probably one of the most soul-crushing films as far as
oh,
the ending.
oh,
You know, based on a true story. Was it George Young?
Yes, yeah.
That's the real character.
yep.
Soul-crushing at the end. Completely soul-crushing when you see
It's
how-
heartbreaking.
It's hard to see that. To
Yeah.
see where he was, you know, at one point, you know,
And then
literally
see him just cut
yeah,
down.
Yeah, just he looked like a washed-up rock star. Like a total, like, washed-up, burnout rock star. That's
He
what
looked
what
like
he was.
Joe Walsh.
Yeah, he did. Fuck. Holy crap. Soul-crushing film, though. Andrew, your gears are turning. What's going on here?
You mentioned soul-crushing true crime drama, and I just couldn't help but think of Star 80
Oh,
Oh.
the death
Dor-
of Dorothy Stratton.
with Eric Roberts at his creepy, slimy best.
He is so good in that movie, though.
Yeah.
He is such. I honestly don't. I honestly believe that is who he is at this point, because I don't think he ever stopped playing the part.
He's been a dick in pretty much every movie that he's been in.
And
He's a total creeper and everything.
I've heard interesting stories about him at cons and stuff, yelling at people and yeah.
Eric Roberts?
Oh yeah. Apparently he yelled at some dude and signed a picture for him, and when the guy wouldn't buy a picture with him, like to have a picture taken with him, Eric Roberts grabbed the photo out of the guy's hand and tore it up, and tried to call security to get the guy removed from the con because he didn't want to spend more money for him.
Oh, what a crock of shit.
Right?
I got something like that when I was at the Novi Expo Center. I think it was Comic-Con or something or other years back, and Walter Koenig, who played Chekhov, was there, and he same thing. You know, he wouldn't take a picture unless you paid him.
Yeah.
And he folds his arms and he's like, "If you want to take a picture of me by myself, that's fine." Just looks off to the side.
But
totally
the question is, did he have the hairpiece? Because without the hairpiece, who wants a picture of him?
Yeah.
It's its own triple.
It is. At this point, he seriously, the guy
All
looks like
right.
the penguin.
Who's next?
I'm going to throw this one out there, and I think you guys are going to agree with me. This is probably one of Leo's best roles ever.
Here it comes. Here it comes.
Catch Me If You Can.
Oh, not that one.
Yeah,
Catch
that
Me
was
If
good.
You
That's a
Can.
true crime movie.
I know it's
That
a true
is-
crime movie. It wasn't I was
That was a
thinking
good
of.
movie.
But I agree. That wasn't the one I was thinking of either. But continue.
But Steven Spielberg directed this movie.
Yes, we know that. Let's
And
move on.
Tom Hanks, Leo, and honestly, I
Walken as his dad.
I think
Yeah.
Scott and I are both just bound and determined to give you shit.
no, I don't. That's fine, because I can take it all, bitches.
You
keep
can
going.
try.
But no, seriously, Catch Me If You Can. Leo is like so into that role. Like, I really feel like that was a turning point in his career too.
Oh, yeah. That
where he
was
kind of
the-
went from
yeah,
like
he
doing
did.
like the
That
regular
was the
drama
moment.
stuff.
The moment when we went, oh, he's a serious actor.
Yeah, Catch Me
He's
If You
not
Can.
a pretty boy.
Yeah, that is a phenomenal movie, and just that story in itself is so interesting.
Yeah.
And they captured so many of the actual true elements in this, because I read a lot about this story after seeing
Yeah.
the movie.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
really nailed it. They
Oh, they
really,
did.
really nailed it. And obviously, Tom Hanks, I mean, does he really make a bad movie?
No.
No.
He's
Andrew's
not
like,
even bad in movies, except for
those.
was he in Joe versus the Volcano?
That wasn't a bad movie.
Oh,
Yes, he was.
God. It was terrible.
Oh, come on.
Terrible. Oh,
Worse than those
rose-colored glasses. I'm telling you.
those Da Vinci Code movies.
Oh, I like the Da Vinci Code. Those were just fun.
Those are fun. Yeah, those
I
are-
like
you
the
don't
first
like
one,
those?
but not the second
Andrew?
two.
Yeah.
Oh, see,
Yeah.
I like the second too.
Really?
Yeah.
You can all just pound sand tonight.
I'm going to go again, if nobody minds.
Go ahead.
We're going to go, maybe, I don't know how obscure it is, if anybody even remembers that it came out. Summer of Sam.
Oh, God,
yeah.
I hated that fucking movie so much.
Did you?
Walked out of one of the only movies in my entire life that I actually walked out of the
Why
theater.
did you walk out? I
like Summer
loved
of
that
Sam.
movie.
Well, first time I think I was on a date.
Oh, that's not a date movie,
no, was
especially
it-
with all the making out and getting shot for it.
Well,
Yeah.
That kind of ruins your chances.
Well,
of
that
getting
and
some.
just like all the weird, like crazy sex shit that was going on.
Oh yeah,
Like just some of that.
The
And some of
talking dog.
Well, some of the dialogue that they were saying just was like, oh my God, yeah. And it wasn't.
watch
a
it
date movie.
again. Watch it again.
Maybe I should.
You should. It's a
You
good
really
Spike Lee
should.
movie.
Adrian Brody was so freaking good in that
John
movie.
Leguizamo was in that too.
He was
Yeah.
brilliant.
There was just, I think what the thing was with me, and I really should revisit that movie to be honest. I expected to hear, I thought it was going to be centered more around,
Around Berkowitz.
and it wasn't. It was more of this story about this neighborhood,
about
people.
what happened in New York and the blackout.
and the paranoia and things
Yeah.
like that. I didn't expect that, and it kind of bummed us both out. We're like,
Oh,
let's
see,
get
I
something.
thought that was a neat new approach to a true crime story because we never get that. We
We
always
get those cool cutaways of the guy just fucking flipping his shit.
you
know?
get the great Berkowitz scenes, but
Yeah.
in true crime movies, it's always about the crime itself
Yeah.
and the killer and
Yeah,
the
this was a different
investigation.
take. Yeah.
And getting to see it from the outside and everybody going, "Oh, that kid's a punk rocker. I bet
Yeah.
it's him. I bet it's him."
How
It's
turns into mass hysteria.
it does
Even
And-
after he's arrested. Like they're
and I mean, I would honestly say that's probably that was Spike Lee, right?
It was, yeah.
I'd say that was probably his top 4 movies.
Really?
Yeah. I'd put it right behind Do the Right Thing.
that's my top one.
That's my top one too.
Yeah, and School Days.
School Days was good.
25th Hour.
But we all have to agree that Chirac is his best movie ever, right?
I've never seen it.
I haven't seen
saw
Chirac yet.
I
No,
won't.
you mean Old Boy? Old Boy is his best movie ever.
Oh Jesus!
Good God. What's the what?
I knew that
Oh,
would
he's
get
doing a
some
movie for
reactions.
Marvel now. That's right.
Yeah, he's doing something.
Oh,
Andrew,
no, it's-
throw us another one.
It's DC.
You got another one?
Do I have
You got like
another
5
one?
pages there.
Let's go with Scott. Scott has gotten passed over like twice now.
No, I'm okay with that.
I'm not.
You mentioned you mentioned Leo, and you were talking to Leo, and I think Andrew, I'm going to probably steal your thunder on this, but I
Go
was
for
like
it.
Gangs of New York, man. Gangs of New York was
See, I
really
wasn't thinking of that one either.
What
but-
the
Is that
hell?
So you didn't
but is
steal
that
my
really
thunder.
a true crime?
It is,
yeah.
but no,
But that's
you didn't
what
steal
it's
my
one of
thunder.
those ones I think where I said before. It's kind of got that weird cross section though, right? But it was based on
True events, but
well, it's
I don't
more of
know
a
if it's
historical
true
film, though,
crime.
too, right? It's a historical film, and there's a lot of crime going on. It's a movie about crime.
It is a movie about crime, but is it a movie about true crimes that actually, like, those crimes happened?
A lot of it actually did.
Yeah.
A lot of it did.
A lot of it did.
I know the Tammany Hall shit did, but
Yeah.
that was just New York.
It was based in reality. Obviously, they.
Okay, it was a great movie. Let's move on.
Okay, I'm gonna steal it back. I'm gonna steal it back from you because
Uno.
we went through 2 DiCaprio
Uno.
movies, and we didn't talk about his latest true crime movie, which is The Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, I knew that
Oh.
was going to come up.
Elaborate.
Go, Andrew.
Well,
Go,
besides
Andrew.
it being a swan dive into wretched excess for like the entirety of the picture, it's kind of another take on the gangster movie in the sense that he's building this criminal empire. Everyone working with him, they're all criminals as well. And yeah, there are worse ones out there than he is, but even then, he says at one point in the movie, well, when you live like a Bond villain, sometimes you get to play the part. When he's getting into it with
Yeah.
the FBI on his boat.
I mean, the one thing positive thing I can honestly say about that movie is that it showed me Jonah Hill could act. Other than that, I thought it was a weird more crime-ridden version of Wall Street. Mm-hmm. It really didn't. It didn't feel like it had any heart. Like, I know it wasn't supposed to, but
It's supposed to be pretty cold.
It's supposed to be cold, but at the same time, like we see a lot of these crime movies where they're supposed to be cold. Goodfellas,
Yeah.
perfect example. Everybody in it is supposed to be cold, but at the same time, by the end of the movie, you're kind of bummed that these guys got hoodwinked and
Or
went
dead,
down.
You kind of root
killed,
for
yeah.
them
Yeah.
in a way.
Yeah.
You kind of
And-
root for
and-
Jordan Belfort in some ways.
And see, I couldn't. Like, for me, like, I watched the movie and all I could see was the victims. Mm-hmm. And, like, what he was doing. I don't know, maybe it hit too close to home kind of thing.
Well, I was just gonna say, we can really identify with that. you know?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that affected probably us. In some way, affected all of us in this room somehow.
Oh, yeah.
It was that
Oh, yeah.
big.
I lost my job because of all that stuff.
Well,
at
there you
one
go.
point. Yeah.
Right. I think it's gonna be very. That's where the coldness comes from, right there.
Yeah.
Like I can't.
I was actually kind of pissed that they made a movie that almost made him a hero out of this guy that just destroyed so many lives.
Yeah.
I was something about it I found offensive.
But they
Yeah.
do
I agree.
show his worst tendencies throughout the movie too. They don't give him any kind of redemption at the end of it, even when he's, going on this new book tour and they have the real Jordan Belfort make a cameo at the end of it.
Yeah.
I don't think he redeems himself at the end. I
No,
certainly
because
didn't
he's
feel
kind of
anything from him.
irredeemable at this point.
He's a total cockknocker to this day.
Yeah.
yeah,
you know,
he's still
he
kind
really
of proud
is.
of what he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And now he's trying to teach other people how to do it too.
I'm going to teach you how to
Sell
do
me
it.
this
Well, it's a
pen.
pure sociopath. He just
Oh,
doesn't
he
give a
is.
Fuck, dude.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fuck him. Move on. Next. Fuck that
So which
guy.
version of Helter Skelter, the older one, or the newer
76.
one?
I'd go
All the-
76,
76,
all the way.
man.
The
All
one
the
with
way.
Steve Rail's back.
Hell
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Hell
yeah.
yeah.
That one was
Speaking of cold.
mind-blowingly good.
Speaking of cold.
Yeah, was that now? I can't remember. I swear that the '76 one was a made-for-TV movie.
It was.
Okay. I was going to ask earlier. I was like, does that count?
So how did they get away with that, though, for TV back then? With how cold that
I don't
movie
know,
is.
man. I remember watching
e-
it at my grandparents' house.
They
Pretty
probably
easy.
had to do some parental discretion advisories or play it late at night.
They actually played it just at the end of prime time, and it wasn't censored, and they treated it kind of like how they treated Roots, where it came up like, this is graphic, but this is the real story, and we want you to know the real story. You know?
Yeah. I saw it years ago, but it was good.
Oh, so
Enjoyed
good.
it.
I remember we got really
The desert
stoned
scenes.
back in the late 90s and watched it.
Oh yeah, oh
like
yeah.
really stoned.
That was the first time I ever saw it. I
Yeah,
was lit.
We rented it on
Just lit.
VHS, I think, too, which
yeah.
is even worse.
Yeah,
you know?
a two cassette
yeah,
VHS. Yeah.
So which version of the story would you say does it better, In Cold Blood or Capote?
In Cold Blood.
Because they're both
Yeah, I
about
put
the
both
same
those.
serial killer.
I put them both on my list.
But I do agree, In Cold Blood.
I think
I
In
agree.
Cold Blood
Well, In Cold
tackled it
Blood-
a little bit more.
Yeah, In Cold
accurate.
Blood is that's hard shit. That's
Oh.
really hard shit.
Capote was great. Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah, he was amazing.
Astounding.
But
in
that was not, it was a different angle on this thing. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I mean,
yeah.
you're seeing it from the outs. That character.
You're seeing it
looking
from
in.
the author's perspective
Yeah.
instead of from the crime.
Yeah, and you at the end you do kind of feel bad, like, oh man, this sucks. They executed
These
it,
poor
you know?
kids.
These poor kids. Where what they did was fucking horrible.
And you watch In Cold Blood and you
Yeah.
come away going,
Yeah.
I don't know really how upset I am that they're dead.
No, and I got a copy of both those at home, and
Oh, they're both so.
I kind of put them down on my list, like kind of in the same, like under the same umbrella.
I'm glad
basically.
somebody else brought that up because that was on my list, and I even
Yeah, you mentioned that to me
I even
when we discussed
messaged Chris
this.
last night. Like, we got to talk about In Cold Blood.
Going back to Pacino,
Oh,
Serpico,
Serpico.
I was about to say.
cool flick, man, cool flick.
Wait, can we call that a true crime story though?
That was about crime.
I guess
About
it is.
crooked
It is.
cops.
It's about crooked cops.
Yeah,
I was just thinking that it was more of a cop movie than
but it
a
was
true crime.
But it was crimes. It was internal crimes.
Yeah, and they were all real.
Yeah, and about a guy trying to fucking fight the system, getting fucked over left and right. It was hard, you know?
So hard.
I mean, Pacino was so good in that movie. I mean, him just kind of unwinding, like, throughout the film, and getting more and more, like, fucking freaked out about things and getting, you know, seeing...
Like, you honestly didn't know who he was going to shoot.
Yeah.
Like,
fucking
like
awesome,
he's the good guy, and you still don't know if he's going to do the wrong thing and kill
Yeah.
somebody.
Andrew, which one came first, Serpico or Cruisin'?
Serpico did.
Did it?
Yeah.
Cruisin' was so good.
But that was 1980, and
God damn, I remember seeing
Serpico
that.
was in the 70s.
Oh, it's good.
You haven't seen Cruising?
I thought I saw Cruising.
Dude, it's all about your lifestyle. Check it out.
It totally is.
It
is you.
It kind of is a true crime story, even though it's a work of fiction. It draws heavily from a number of murders that were taking place in the heavy leather S&M scene. Even though the movie is ultimately about how the job is affecting him more than whether or not he solves the crime.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talk about a heavy movie. Oh my! I know we're going off in the weeds with that too.
What?
But
Yeah.
Cruisin',
Cruisin',
oh man,
Cruisin' just... You need like a 2-hour break afterwards to go have a beer and hang out with friends.
It's
and
dark.
remind
it just
you that
holds you
people will
down
still
and
like
fists you over
Oh, yeah.
and over again.
Literally
It's
and
brutal.
figuratively.
It's the truth,
yeah.
though.
Where did that come from?
Literally,
I mean, I
and-
know, but...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's directed by William Friedkin.
Ooh.
Yeah.
He considers it... It's weird that they did an official sequel to The Exorcist by John Borman, The Exorcist 2, but William Peter Blatty considered The Ninth Configuration his true sequel to
Love
The
it.
Exorcist.
You know, we talked about that, and I finally sat down and watched that about a year ago, The Ninth Configuration. And that movie is fucking bizarre, man.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, man, it's good.
But it's
Check it
good.
out.
Okay, I got to check it out.
It's cool as hell.
But main thing is that he considered that the true sequel to The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Friedkin himself considered Cruising to be the true sequel to The Exorcist.
Really?
Yeah.
Now I have to watch that. I mean, I know I've saw it, but I
Really?
never heard
The
it.
main-
I'm
the
trying
main
to
thing
see how
was-
it could be.
Well, the main reason why is, besides the Jack Nietzsche cue at the beginning and the transgression, the X-ray technician, one of the X-ray technicians in the mammogram sequence that's done in The Exorcist,
Yeah.
she gets the X-ray. One of the technicians, it turned out, later murdered somebody, and Friedkin was just really taken aback by that. Like, I actually interacted with someone who it turned out to be a murderer, and that one incident was what persuaded him to go ahead and make this movie.
Well, that's the same thing that turned
Cruising.
Anne Rule into a true crime author. Mm-hmm. She worked in a phone call center with a suicide prevention call line with Ted Bundy.
Holy shit.
Yeah. That was Ted Bundy was her coworker, and then when he got busted, she's like, "Oh crap! I've got stories about this guy, and I want to learn everything about how I didn't know that this guy was the biggest monster in America." Mm-hmm. And hence she became the preeminent true crime writer.
That stuff is trippy because it made me. I thought about this just the other day, and it popped in my head again. In my old neighborhood, we had neighbors, because we were a neighborhood, but we had neighbors.
How shocking that a neighborhood.
And we knew these people for years, right? And one of our other neighbors disappeared, and I was very young, right?
Like disappeared.
Disappeared. Right, I was very young. I had no, I didn't,
Yeah.
but I knew, Mr. Lonsky down the street just kind of disappeared. Right. Well, 20 years later, and this is like, we're out of the neighborhood. Something pops in the paper. They found out what happened to him, and a couple of our other neighbors, they all went hunting together.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a murder. There was an accident. There was a hunting accident. They accidentally shot this guy. Blew his head off accidentally, and they buried him. They said, "What are we gonna do?" So they buried him and just said, "We don't know. He took off." And he said he was leaving. He was gonna leave early and come back home, and we don't know where he went. And they lied about it. They got away with it for like 20 years. And these are people I knew.
Wow.
I was like,
it's amazing when that stuff
when it hits
comes home.
Yeah, when it hits home, like
Yeah,
it freaks
yeah.
you out, man.
Well, like I was telling you guys about the guys I knew, and
Yeah.
it's amazing how, like you always watch these movies and go, I would know if they were
Yeah.
capable
No, you don't.
of it.
No,
like,
you
no,
don't.
no,
You
you
have
have
no idea.
no clue.
You have no idea because I don't think you want to know. Your brain isn't going to allow you to like, oh, yeah, that person's definitely a murderer. 'Cause
Yeah.
Fuck that. I'm out of here.
All
I don't
right.
want to know the trigger word. What the hell's going to happen, right? All right, moving on.
I'm going to pull this back into Zodiac territory here.
Okay.
As far as greatness goes.
All right.
Shut up.
Go.
Monster.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
2003.
Thank you.
Yes, that is one of the best.
Charlize Theron as Eileen Wuornos. I mean,
How could she be ugly? How do they make her ugly? Because
did you ever see the behind the scenes footage? It's amazing the prosthetic work they did
did
with
on
the
her?
oh yeah, the teeth and the chin
Yeah.
and all that. I mean, that is some great looking prosthetic work.
And her performance, what she does with her voice and her eyes, and just
Oh, she mimicked her perfectly.
You know Eileen Wuornos. That's how you pronounce
Wuornos.
it. Wuornos. She was born in Troy, Michigan.
Yes, I think I did hear that
Yeah,
before.
that's true. I mean, she was born in Troy. That's where I'm from. Troy, Michigan.
that explains a lot.
Men are evil.
But this is one of those true crime movies
That's
that,
true.
as terrible as it is, I can watch this movie over and over again.
Cool movie.
I've
Because
watched
Christina
it once.
Ricci is so good in it too. They're both phenomenal, and it really does follow the actual case very, very
yeah.
closely. Yeah. And it's just brutal, man. The way she kills those guys, it's just like, oh god,
No.
don't get the nasty hooker on the side of the road in Florida, because
Who the fuck
that's
would
what's
do that?
going to happen.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Right.
Well, we know who would do that.
Well, now we do.
One
yeah.
of your friends that we were just talking about.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
know a certain
I associate with
someone.
complete shitbags. Apparently, what the hell my problem is, man. Great flick though. Yeah. I mean,
I actually have only watched it once. I thought it was good.
the movie's great, and all the documentaries surrounding the movie are really good too.
I prefer
Stories-
the documentaries to
I love
the
the
movie.
documentaries. Yeah, they're really great.
The movie itself just kind of left me. Like, okay, great.
The interviews with
One,
her.
It was a little too accurate. I think that was my problem.
Right. What were you going to say, Andrew?
I was saying one example that you're referring to as far as movies that were based on true crime stories, and the documentaries are infinitely better than the movies themselves, was The Iceman about Richard
Thank
Kuklinski.
you.
Movie sucked, but the real story is
Oh,
utterly
dude.
compelling. I mean,
Holy
So cool.
The Ice. Well, they have the Iceman Confessions, and they did that on HBO.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
dare I say it, I'm going to probably be totally judged by this. I can watch that stuff. I find it fascinating.
Oh, I do too.
That
I do too.
dude,
yeah.
that dude is, speaking of cold, that is one of the real Richard Kuklinski. That guy is cold as fuck. And the way he chews his gum, he's sitting there. If you've seen it,
Have you seen it? The Richard Kuklinski interviews?
oh my
Yeah,
god,
yeah.
dude, holy crap.
Andrew, you'll agree with me. I think like the interviews that were on HBO were
Better than the
chilling.
movie.
He was so cold and so calculated. The way they talk to him, he's just flat out like, yeah, I killed him, whatever.
Well, there's one particular in those interviews. He does this one thing where he says, they're like, so this guy did this to you, so what'd you do? He's like, well, and he was talking about how he used to poison people.
He'd put
He's like-
booster in their food.
Yeah, he's like, he put a boost in. He's like, I put a boost in his food, and he fell to the floor, and he died,
He
and they
says-
buried him. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Oh god, this is so.
Yeah.
It's chilling. It truly is, man.
And he says it totally without any kind of emotion one way or the other. He's just like,
This matter of fact machine.
yeah.
Now the thing is though about that though too, if we want, I mean, just I don't want to send us too far into the weeds. About those interviews though, there were some pieces of that. It seemed like he was a bit relishing in.
Oh, I'm sure he loved that
He
somebody
wa-
cared
'cause
enough to record
Well,
him.
there was one thing where they mentioned his family, right? And I've heard, I mean, I've done a lot of reading on Kuklinski, and he was very abusive. Like they make it out like he plays it out like oh my, I love my family. They were the most important thing, and I do believe that. I mean, that was probably the most
Well,
important.
just
thing to
because
him.
you love them doesn't
Yeah.
mean that you're not a monster.
There were many. His wife, his ex-wife now, tells many stories of him just coming in, and if she said one wrong thing, he just fucking belt her. He was really abusive, mentally and physically.
Yeah, that's
He's all
not
around. He was an
shocking.
all-around asshole. But he was a cold, not a serial killer, but he was just a cold-hearted person. And it does. I mean, that's what the documentary and the interviews do go into that, and you do learn that he was created. He was not, he wasn't born that way. He was created that way by years of abuse from his family too.
Well, you brought this one up What was your problem with the movie?
Well, first of all,
It just sucked.
First of all, the role played by Michael Shannon, I thought, wow, this is going to be really interesting with him in the role. He's such a great actor.
Yeah.
The first time you see him, he's got this big sort of Mick Foley beard and overgrown hair. I'm like, Richard Kuklinski looks nothing like that. And many of the events that they portray and describe in the movie, some of them are accurate, but there's one part where he's chasing some criminals down an alleyway in his car with his family inside it.
That was it was road rage.
Yeah.
It was road rage.
Yeah. And the whole thing with how he interacted with his family was that he was able to lead a double life. It didn't have the movie kept trying to show that his two lives intersected,
And they didn't.
No. So
Yeah, well, that one part with Leota, and he came up there to his house and was like, and he's like trying to like, okay, guys, everybody be cool. I got this under control. That never happened. That was what made.
I'm also sick of seeing Leota play the same role over and over.
Every
and over
movie.
Yeah,
again.
no kidding. But that's what made him so compelling. Is the real Kuklinski was that he was able to do that for decades and keep them lives autonomous, the family life and his life, how he made his money.
Totally undetected, but they kept trying to suggest in the movie that the two kept crossing paths with each other.
No,
and
didn't work.
Bullshit.
Well, my problem, and I was waiting for you to say this, was that as great of an actor as Michael Shannon is, I think, number one, the material failed him in that movie, but number two, he kind of failed the role in the fact that he never played him as cold as he really was in life. Maybe that was because of the scripting, but also
Honestly, that sounds more like a direction problem
yeah,
than a script problem.
He looked nothing like Kuklinski either. Like John Carroll Lynch should have played.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. He would have
John
been
Carroll
perfect
Lynch,
for
the
that.
guy from Zodiac.
I thought he.
Yeah,
Drew
the
Carey's
Zodiac.
brother.
I thought he
Yes.
may have got at the very end, the last scene of the Iceman, where they're interviewing him, like they were doing the interviews. There was a couple of seconds where I was talking about the gum chewing thing, which was really what has watching those interviews, the real interviews with him, which is what just that gum chewing thing he would do.
Yeah.
They show that in the movie of him kind of like clenching his jaw and you could see the gum in his mouth, just like.
With this ridiculous beard stuck on his face and head.
But that was probably as close as he got to like really nailing that character, like making it.
There were a lot of production issues with that movie, though, too. Like at one point, they were going to pull it from release, and because it was such a troubled production. So I think we saw a lot of that in the final product because it never really got a good release either.
No,
it was
straight
kind
to
of
Netflix, man.
Yeah, it was some kind of messed up.
Well, I went to
thing.
see it in the theater, but it was
really?
at the Forum 30. It was like in one auditorium, and then it was gone. And it felt like I was watching a TV movie in the theater anyway. There was no reason for that to get a theatrical release, not at all.
All right, Donnie Brasco,
Yeah,
let's do it.
Right here.
Yeah,
on the floor.
Chris, you go first.
On the
Okay.
ceiling.
Always first.
Chris always goes first. Donnie Brasco.
Yeah,
I love this movie. Michael Madsen, anything he's in, I always just love because I just love that man. I love him as a poet. I love him as an actor. I mean, anything he does, I think is really cool.
Wish he'd quit drinking so damn much.
Yeah, he's just. But that gives him that great voice, though. The smoking and the partying and the drinking. That's why I love his voice. But yeah, he's not going to be around too much longer. He keeps that shit up. But I mean, what's to say about this film? I don't know. It's a fun movie to watch. I really enjoy it. Is it up there like Goodfellas? Oh God, no, not even close in my opinion. As far as like that same true crime / gangster.
As
kind
far
of thing.
as gangster movies,
Yeah.
yeah, it's up there.
You think so?
It's up there.
It don't feel.
There's not that many great gangster movies.
It don't really. Go ahead, Andrew.
Oh, I just thought of one, not to interrupt, but which do you think did it better, Dillinger or Public Enemies? Because they're both the John Dillinger story.
Dillinger had more facts right. I thought Public Enemies was shot better.
Public Enemies was cool just because of the way that he did it with the digital film. It looked a lot. It was just different. Looked
Yeah.
more realistic.
It looked, it felt like It was more immersive. Where Dillinger was shot like it was like when it was shot.
Yeah.
And it was a good movie. It was really solid. I think they had to tone it down too much for the era. I think it was very accurate.
The Warren
But
Oates,
they had to really tone it down so much that it lost some of the impact.
I was going to say Warren Oates looked like the real John Dillinger.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
even without makeup, he looked like the real John Dillinger.
Yeah. Well,
So-
John Dillinger was movie star good looking, so it's not a...
Very had that weathered look.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, looked like he could actually fill that role.
He had, the,
you know?
he had the Eastwood thing going on. That,
Yeah.
That I've been in the sun in Italy for 8 years, and
So we're just going to brush
Richard
over
Dreyfuss
Donnie
plays-
Brasco.
No,
no,
What
we're
the
going
fuck
back-
happened here?
we're going back to Donnie Brasco.
Okay, I'm kidding around. I don't think it's up on the same level as Goodfellas. I just
No,
don't, it don't
I'm
feel
saying
the
it's in the same.
to me.
It's on the same tier because I mean, really think about it. There's how many great mobster movies are there? There's Godfather, Godfather 2. There's Goodfellas.
Casino, which we haven't talked
We
about
haven't
yet.
talked about
We'll get to
Casino yet.
Yeah.
Casinos.
You're gonna shit on Casino.
I'm gonna shit on Casino.
Come on.
Sharon Stone made me want to turn off.
She's supposed to.
movie.
No,
I
yeah,
hated them.
supposed to.
Like,
Dude, I
I
hate
thought
her.
she was terrible.
fucking wow. How could you
yeah,
think she's terrible?
I'm in disagreement.
She drove me crazy. Joe Pesci played Joe Pesci.
All right, fuck it. Okay, let's take this categorically. Let's finish Donnie Brasco. We'll
And
argue
then I'll
about
shit,
that.
Then I'll shit
we'll-
on Casino.
Then we'll argue. Casino. So Donnie Brasco, I don't know. I don't know. Just the characters in that film. It had a great cast of colorful characters like you saw in Goodfellas, right? They just, I guess to me, and this is a personal thing. Very well. I mean, critically speaking, I'm sure they probably are, like you said, on the same tier, right?
Yeah.
To me, it just didn't when I saw Goodfellas, I was just enamored. Like, holy shit.
Well, Goodfellas is.
Yeah, it's just that
was game changing.
So dense and rich, just the way the movie moves, all the things that happen. Donnie Brasco, I mean, yeah, we do see, and you know what? Let me just say it. I don't like seeing Al Pacino as a bitch. I'm sorry, it really bothers the fuck out of me, man.
My issue with Al Pacino in that was that it felt like he was playing a watered down Michael Corleone again. Mm-hmm. It felt like the same character except for without the balls.
The older Michael Corleone from Part 3, he had the same cadence in his
the
voice
way
and
he
everything.
walked, everything.
Yeah, you're right. You're 100% right.
He really had that old school mafia thing going, but instead of trying to discover a new old school mafia, he decided to recycle what he'd already learned.
Okay. Now that makes sense.
Yeah.
And again, that's why I'm saying it's a personal thing.
No, I get it.
And,
I mean, it's not a perfect movie. Johnny Depp was good.
Yeah.
But it's not one of his, holy crap, Johnny Depp was good in that.
I think when it came out, though, people were looking for that next thing, so it really did strike people as a really good movie.
Yeah.
I enjoy the movie, but I don't.
I love it.
It's good.
I consider it one of the really good mob movies, but I don't consider it a great mob movie. It's
Before
It's a 3 out of 4 star movie.
3.5.
3.5.
3.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before we get into Casino at all, because I know everybody's going to be really
Animated.
animated about
he's
this
getting ready to
one.
Mm-hmm.
start squatting here any second now.
I'm going to mention one.
I'm unbuckling already.
I'm going to mention, and Andrew will agree with me on this one. Terrence Malick's Badlands.
Yes.
Oh,
That's pretty much
I did
the
not see
Starkweather
that.
Killers, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
that is a great movie, and not much crime really takes place in the movie. The crimes take place at the beginning, and it's more about them hiding out. Starkweather and his girlfriend hiding out, his teenage girlfriend hiding out in the Badlands. And it's
You know what's funny is that movie and that story, the Starkweather whole thing, was totally ruined for me. Totally ruined for me by the Michael J. Fox movie with ghosts.
The
Frighteners?
The Frighteners, where through that whole damn movie, the guy wouldn't stop talking about how many guys Starkweather killed. And so the entire time I watched that movie, every time somebody would say Starkweather, that's all I heard was Jake Busey's annoying ass voice.
Okay.
All right.
Now Casino.
Well,
but
wait
I
a
don't want
minute,
everybody to talk.
Wait a minute.
Or what?
Okay, well, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, let's discuss Casino, but let's not talk over each other on this one because I know everybody's passionate about this movie.
Shut your goddamn mouth. Be quiet.
Yeah.
Turn
okay.
on for what?
So, Andrew, Casino. What do you think of Casino?
What do I think of Casino? Well, I know it was from the same author of the book Goodfellas, or Wise Guys, I should say, Mitch Pileggi. It did feel initially like it was repeating Goodfellas in a way, but then again, you know, crimes do tend to repeat themselves in various shapes and forms. It did feel a little bit like it was Goodfellas Part 2, but the setting wasn't. The
Right.
Las Vegas setting and all the machinations there. The James Woods character.
Yeah.
I thought that was an interesting.
Oh, dude.
Don't get me started on James Woods.
Oh, he's a dick.
Oh, he's a horrible human being.
But do you like his
Good
acting?
actor.
Great actor.
I mean,
He's not a great actor. He's a fun actor. He plays James Woods really well.
the Videodrome, Lone Wolf, The New Flesh.
Oh, Videodrome is one of my favorite
Videodrome,
movies
come on.
of all time. But he was still playing James Woods.
Everything you just said, Andrew, is why I love the movie so much. It's not, to me, it is on the same, and I'm not going to say tier, the same level. Like, and you know, I think it is easy. I think it's safe to say that, you know, it could be called. They could have called it Goodfellas too.
It's kind of a companion piece to Goodfellas.
And it really felt like they were trying to do Goodfellas too. Mm-hmm. That's why I hated it. It felt recycled, boring. I've seen this before. You've done this before. Mm-hmm. Didn't I just see this movie a couple of years ago?
But I think it had a whole different element though, with the whole glitz and glamour of Las Vegas.
But that was just let's throw on a new coat of paint.
Those suits.
It's the same thing as the first-person shooter adding on new skins on models.
Although those crimes did take place and the movie was factually accurate.
Yeah. But I mean, it felt like it was shot like they were trying to shoot it like Goodfellas. Like everything about it just felt rehashed.
Well, all them shots of the Kansas City gangs, like, you know, all them shots of those guys.
Yeah,
it was the same. It had the same look, dark, smoky.
Yeah,
soundtrack similar too.
Yeah, well, totally.
I mean, it was really just. It just felt recycled.
Well, Joe Pesci kills Frank Vincent in Goodfellas and beats the hell out of him in Raging Bull. So it was Frank Vincent's turn to kill Joe Pesci at the end. I thought that was an interesting twist.
That was fun.
Now that
nice
ending.
nod.
Spoiler!
Oh my God. That is one of the most brutal killing sequences in the history of cinema.
Which one?
Disturbed me.
When they're killing Pesci and his brother.
Yeah.
Oh,
in
yeah.
Casino. Oh my God.
That was absolutely.
I thought it was cute.
I actually, for me, the scene in the movie that was the grisliest was the one that they had to cut a few frames out of to avoid an NC-17.
The eye.
Yeah, when he
Fuck
pops
you,
he
fuck
pops
me.
that guy's eye out using the punch press, he's squeezing the guy's head and his eyeball pops out of his socket. They took a few frames out because it was given an NC-17.
And you know what? You know, and we've talked about that very scene on this show, and I think that's such a beautiful scene because Pesci is the character. Oh my God, my Jimmy. God damn, I forgot.
Yeah, I thought it was Jimmy.
Jimmy. He's trying to be nice. Like, don't make me be a bad guy here. Don't make me be a bad guy here. Just give me the name, man. I'm gonna pop your fucking eye out of your head. You know. But I mean, I think there's such a beauty about
And yet
that.
he's still just Leo Getz.
But he's. There's just this.
Leo gets what he gets.
I just
Whatever you want, Leo gets.
there was such a beauty about that scene where he's like, you know, dude, come on, man, just let it go. You're gonna die, or we're gonna kill you, man. You might as well just let it go. And guy wouldn't back down. And there's that whole you know narrative from Jimmy saying, you know, I gotta give it. This is the toughest fucking Irishman I ever met. You know, all that shit. I just think that movie is it's on the same level as Goodfellas. And that's fine. No, I get it. I'm with you. I understand how you feel.
It felt like they were rehashing it without Martin Scorsese's vision.
I disagree because they switched cinematographers in this film. Previously it was Michael Chapman through the 70s, then Michael Ballhaus all the way up through his current movies, and then he switched to Oliver Stone's DP, Robert Richardson, who's now Tarantino's DP, which is why you get those really exaggerated colors, the exaggerated lighting. Like, it looks like you're watching JFK or Natural Born Killers, like the scene where Joe Pesci's stabbing the guy in the neck at the bar.
Oh, God.
The way the light is glowing off their shoulders. I mean, Richardson, from what I understood when they were making JFK, he put lights so bright on the set that set pieces caught fire because of how hot the lights were.
Oh, because you can see that, like in those courtroom scenes, it's like burning in that room, and I think they did that for a reason, just to kind of
make everybody uncomfortable,
make the scene seem tense and whatever else.
But the way it looks on film, I mean, it has kind of a illuminated look to it that's not present in Scorsese's other movies.
Well, they look ethereal in that scene. It's very ethereal looking. There's like the wispiness over their shoulders you're talking about, and what just happened. What he just did to that guy. There's a lot of cringe in Casino. I mean, there's not. That's maybe. I think Casino, pound for pound, is a more violent film than Goodfellas.
I would agree.
Oh yeah,
I would agree. It's way more violent.
It's a brutal fucking movie.
That actually detracts from the.
Well, no, I'm not saying it's a plus. I'm just saying it's a fact. Like it's a more violent film.
Yeah. It just felt overdone. By the end of it, I was like, okay, yeah, great, you're violent. Like, I get it.
Okay, grab the toilet paper now.
We're sorry, Marty.
Just grab me your copy of Casino.
Marty, we're sorry we just shit all over your movie. We know you're watching.
I love it, man.
Who?
Marty. Marty's watching.
Yeah.
He watches. He listens every week.
What's he going to do, huh? What's he going to do?
Not to go off into the weeds, but when I was in Paris a couple years ago, there was a Martin Scorsese exhibit. It was one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
I'm sure.
Like, they had his record collection there from when he was a kid.
Oh, wow.
They had props from Gangs of New York, from Goodfellas, Casino.
That's cool.
It was really cool. And they were like, no cameras. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
All I want to do is take pictures.
I'm like out with my cell phone, like click, 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 click. And the guy's like, put your phone away. And I'm like, okay.
Fuck you, you fuckball.
No, I got a bunch of photos.
Man, there was a Stanley Kubrick exhibit that I wanted to go to so bad and missed it by 2 days.
Did you go to that, Andrew?
Unfortunately, no. But if one comes around again, I'm going to try and go because he's my idol.
Yeah.
Kubrick's your idol?
Yes.
Mine too.
They're going to make out, Scott.
They're going to make out.
Finally.
No,
we're going to see them make little babies in front of us.
Oh,
No, I'm done with that.
Sharon Stone wants to have your baby.
She can keep
Sharon Stone. Okay, let's put a capper on. Let's put a capper on this one. Sharon, I hated her in that movie.
She was the poor man's Michelle Pfeiffer in that movie.
Dude, I hated her. I hated her so much. Not because I thought she was amazing. I just thought she was amazing. She was. I mean, there's an actual scene where the C-bomb gets dropped in that movie. Like, he gets so pissed off at her, like he just drops the frickin' C-bomb. It's like, holy crap.
She still felt like Michelle Pfeiffer's character in Scarface.
I could see that in a way.
No,
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Come on. Michelle's way more whiny in Casino.
You know what? She's not as neurotic as Sharon Stone is in.
Maybe that's what I hated.
She seems to get crazier as the film goes on.
The neuroses just made me. I sympathized with anybody.
But it's the blow, dude. She's getting more drugged up as Casino goes on, and her neurosis is getting
worse. When she hooks up with Jimmy,
she wants to go out for a few hours, so she ties her daughter to her bed.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I do that all the time. Edit.
That's called Friday night in this house.
Yeah.
No, Michelle Pfeiffer's character was a junkie, but she did have moments of clarity, and I don't think Sharon Stone's character in Casino ever did.
No, she didn't. She was off towards the end of that. She was completely unhinged. To in that beautiful scene where she's just ramming the car in the driveway, and the cops show up, and they're like, hey, how are you?
Just trying to get the key to the
trying to,
safety deposit box.
But, they're all level-headed. She's out of her friggin' mind.
Yeah.
She thinks she's protected by Jimmy, so she thinks she can do anything she wants, right? So there's all these plays, along with the drugs, obviously, that are coming in, and that's why she's completely out of her mind. And Trev still hates it.
Oh, yeah.
All right,
I've seen it 6 times, and every time I was ready to turn it off within 30 minutes.
Why watch it 3 times?
Because I'm one of those people that I don't trust my instincts. And so I'll see a movie once and be like, God, that was
that's good. If
garbage.
You verified it.
No, that's good.
Cool. That's the way you do it.
That's like AI.
I've done that.
AI is my least favorite movie ever made, period.
Oh, I love that movie.
Because
You don't watch a lot of movies.
because no, I have a very specific reason why I hate it. Kubrick wanted Spielberg to direct it like a Spielberg movie.
Yeah.
Because Kubrick knew that this wasn't his story, that he couldn't tell this as well as Spielberg could.
Yeah.
Kubrick dies. Spielberg decides, you know what? I'm going to direct it like a Kubrick movie. And so it has this horribly done Kubrick wannabe pacing instead of really enjoying it being a Spielberg movie. You're watching it as like this homage to Kubrick that was really kind of an insult to him, because it had none of what made Kubrick films great, and it had none of what makes Spielberg films great.
It had many of Kubrick's ideas and designs in it.
Oh, you could tell.
But I thought it also was trying to go for the childlike awe that you see in Spielberg movies, particularly putting the main character in the shoes of Haley Joel Osment.
I agree, but my issue is that it was the Spielberg childlike awe in Kubrick glasses.
Mm-hmm.
It's Kubrick's version. It felt like it was like he was trying to do it how Kubrick would do it.
It felt like there were 2 opposite extremes canceling one another
Exactly,
out.
and it
You guys
really
just
which
get
I
it
do
over with
get.
and make out.
no.
All right,
Do it.
we got like 5 minutes, so if we want to throw one more
I think
out
everybody
there, we
wants to
can.
see 2 Sasquatches, anyways.
You guys,
Yeah.
you guys continue this. Let's call it a night, Chris, please. I'm so tired.
Oh, dude, I am so wiped out.
What are you doing?
Looking for my cursor.
Oh, there's
there
your
it is.
cursor.
Are we calling this a night then?
Let's call it a night.
You guys
I think we got our point across.
All right. I think that we should do a Kubrick one in the next few weeks.
Oh, man.
We need to do Kubrick and we need to do Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got to be here for the Kubrick one.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
And
of course.
I will be here for both of those.
Okay.
All right.
All right, guys. This was episode 84, Real Crime. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, not on MySpace. Good night.
Not on LiveJournal.
MySpace.
Check us out on MySpace. Reddit. You've read it. Reddit rules. All right. Bye.
Visit us at www.themoviesleuth.com and find The Movie Sleuth on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and iTunes.